Vaccinations are a hotly debated topic in the U.S. today. There's two sides of the argument, and both people are extremely passionate about what they have to say. On one side, you have the anti-vaccination movement who has complaints about thimerosal and the autism link, and on the other side, you have the group that's for vaccination, herd immunity, and protecting our children from preventable diseases. Vaccinations have changed how our entire civilization works, going all the way back to the polio vaccine that used to kill hundreds of thousands of people, up to today where we get our yearly flu vaccine to prevent the influenza virus that comes through once a year to attack everyone. The anti-vaccination movement started in 1879, so it's been around for a long time. It's nothing new. It got a big resurgence in the early 90s with Andrew Wakefield when he posted a study that he had done that linked autism to the MMR vaccine. It was published by The Lancet. Well, what they don't talk about is that Andrew Wakefield got paid £400,000 by a law firm that was trying to prove a link between MMR and autism to do a lawsuit against them. On top of that, he was in the process of trying to patent his own MMR vaccine to replace the current one as well. Since then, the study has been deemed invalid. It's been debunked. There's no actual scientific proof behind it, and most of the information that was part of that was fraudulently submitted and hasn't held up to any actual scientific scrutiny since then. The other concern is that thimerosal is a heavy metal. It's used as a preservative, but thimerosal is no longer in current single-dose vaccines. The only thing it's used in is in multi-dose vaccines, which sometimes are part of the current influenza. But regardless, you consume more heavy metals by eating a can of tuna than you do by getting a vaccination. As we look here on the previous slide to show the importance of vaccinations, we'll see that prior to vaccinations on the left-hand side, these represent all the deaths that happened in the U.S. as a result. And on the right-hand side, this is since 2000. This is data from 2010 afterwards. So we'll see things like diphtheria, polio, and smallpox. They have a 100% reduction in fatality since the introduction of vaccines. Vaccinations are scientifically proven outcomes. And those outcomes outweigh the potential negative side effects that happen from the vaccination process. The other concern that people have regarding that is that, some people can't get vaccines. They're immunocompromised, or they get shots and their body doesn't build up a vaccine. My mom's a perfect example, and she actually has an issue where she can't build a vaccine even when she is vaccinated. So because of people like this, it's important that we keep up what's referred to as herd immunity. It requires a 95% vaccination rate, and in order for other people to be protected that can't get vaccines, we have to maintain a high level of vaccinations. The other reason that you want to do this is because your kids need to be vaccinated to go to school. Now, if we look at the next slide, this is what we'll see is that this is a kindergarten exemption rate. This was actually published. It refers to the 2013-2014 school year. The states that are in dark red, they represent more than 4%. They have more than a 4% exemption rate for kindergartners going into school. Keep in mind that you need to maintain 95% or higher for us to be able to keep up our herd immunity. Now, on top of that, when we see the lines here, this is a sub 99 or sub 90% MMR coverage, and because of that, this puts people at risk who can't get vaccines because there's not enough coverage to support the population. So it's very clear that vaccinations serve a purpose, and not vaccinating your kids if they're healthy and if they're able to get vaccines, there's no scientific reasoning and there's no scientific proof to validate that argument. And now when we go to the next slide, what we'll see is this is what happens when we don't vaccinate. Right here we see a 300% increase in measles cases in 2017. On this graph, in 2016, there was 5,273 cases of measles in Europe. Currently, there's 21,315 cases in 2017. That's an increase of over 300% because of an increase in anti-vaccination movements. So we don't need to live in fear of things like the polio virus anymore because we have vaccines that completely eradicated it. So those are things in our distant memory, and so we think that we're in the clear now. But if we fail to vaccinate, we're going to come right back into the same situation where these diseases make a resurgence. So the last thing I want to do is I want to leave you with a thought. If your child contracted measles, or worse, gave it to somebody else who wasn't able to get it, and either one of those children died, would you want to deal with the guilt of knowing that you didn't have to have a result that way because vaccinations prevent it? Thank you for your time.